Last time we had a look at a cog railway in Switzerland that Hilary and I recently rode. I used the lovely trip to illustrate not getting bogged down with the details and keeping the main thing the main thing. The beautiful Alps and the views from the hiking trails are indeed spectacular. My name is Ian Currey and this is Thinking Out Loud. Come on, let me tell you what I think. Last time I was having a little think about how trains can be made to go uphill. I pointed out that the why was so much more important than the how. Getting to the top of the mountain so that you can actually see the beautiful views, and in winter ski back down the beautiful mountain, is in this instance, of course, the main thing. The journey on the Cog Railway is staggeringly beautiful, and in that particular case, the journey is almost as wonderful as the destination itself. Well, at least to me. But there is another way to get high in the mountains there in Switzerland. A funicular railway. Now, funicular railways are very clever. A very long, strong rope goes all the way up to the top of wherever the train is going and around a pulley. There are two trains or carriages, one tied to each end of the rope with one train at the top and one at the bottom. Now, if your next question is, how do they get the train to the top in the first place to tie it onto the rope? Stop it. Now, just stop it. The train is at the top and it's held there by the one at the bottom via the long rope around the pulley. As the train at the top comes down the track from the top of the mountain, it pulls the train at the bottom up the mountain. And so gravity is used to do most of the work. Very little energy is needed to make the whole thing work. Clever. Now, this particular funicular railway is very famous since it's completely inside the mountain. Both stations are also underground inside the mountain, and so the train doesn't spoil the view and isn't really affected by the weather. There are a few things about this railway that I've found very interesting indeed, but let's learn from last week's video and try to keep the main thing the main thing. I noticed how long it felt that we were on the train. The track isn't nearly as long as the Cog Railway we were riding last time, but it felt like the trip went on forever. The train travels much faster than I thought it would too. Outside there was really nothing to see, and I half wondered why they bothered to have windows in the train at all. The only thing to see was the grey rock of the tunnel as it whizzed past. This time the journey was far less interesting to most people. Well, unless you're like me and want to know all about how it works. Enjoying the journey is far less easy to do when most people, there is nothing to do or nothing to see other than wait for the journey to be over. It's interesting to me the difference in what the passengers were saying too. I hope we don't get stuck in here. It's cold in here and there's nothing to see. This is taking way too long. Are we there yet? One of the problems with funicular railways is that they often are required to haul more people up than down. People like to walk down, not up. The space inside is the same no matter what. But remember, the trains work best when they are balanced well. The top one weighing slightly more than the one at the bottom being ideal. Now there's a side note here. There's a much smaller funicular railway in the south of England that solved this problem by having water tanks fitted to each train carriage. The top train has its tank filled with water from a nearby stream until it weighs slightly more than the one at the bottom, and then off it goes. Once the train reaches the bottom, the tank is emptied and the whole procedure starts again. Filling a train with water in the Swiss Alps isn't an option. It would freeze. And besides, there isn't a convenient stream up there to provide the water. In this case, electricity provides the deficit power. Last time I showed you something Paul had written. For the kingdom of God is not a matter of what we eat or drink, but of living a life of goodness and peace and joy in the Holy Spirit. If you serve Christ with this attitude, you will please God, and others will approve of you too. But what if they don't? What if they don't approve of you? Clearly, Paul recognizes approval to be something likely to be important to us, or presumably he wouldn't have included it in his writings. My only consolation is that Paul doesn't say everyone, but says others, at least some, perhaps. In my experience, everyone is watching. If you are a follower of Jesus and people know that, they will be looking and watching. Some will be admiring, impressed with the way we carry ourselves, perhaps. It's easy when the journey is going well. Ooh, look at the lovely view. Perhaps not so much when we're going through a tunnel, a difficult part of the journey, and we don't know what's going on and we're surrounded, not just by onlookers, but by people watching our every move. How do we act and behave in dark days when things are difficult? Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a huge crowd of witnesses to the life of faith, let us strip off every weight that slows us down, especially the sin that so easily trips us up. And let us run with endurance the race God has set before us. In our funicular journey, it was interesting to see what people took with them. Hilary and I had what we thought we needed: a few snacks, some water, weatherproof clothes, a first aid kit, and a camera. Nothing much else. Looking around at the size of the backpack some were carrying, you'd think they were going up there for a week instead of a day hiking. Leaving some of that stuff behind would certainly have helped the train climb the mountain. The hike was at an altitude that requires extra effort to do anything. A good portion of the route is steep and hard going. Plodding along one step at a time, enjoying the journey, anticipating the destination, and looking forward to trying out that lovely restaurant at the end of the hike helped us immensely. Thinking about each step and watching where we put our feet kept us on track. Up there, we were alone with few onlookers. In life's journey, we indeed have a huge crowd of witnesses. The same principles apply. Travel light, watch your step, and anticipate the destination. Until next time, goodbye.